As y'all know, I'm a recovering panelholic. I've been over 100 something panels. And one of the panels I went on, this was a predominantly male panel. It was a male centered panel. And basically, there was a woman on there. There's like maybe two or three women, but it was mostly like maybe 15 guys on that panel. And, one of the women asked a question. She was like, I hear you guys talking about this, about, a whole bunch of things. And she was like, she said, it just seems like, why have all you men stop approaching women? It seems like y'all just completely done with women. Like y'all just simply can't stand us. Like y'all, that's essentially what she was saying. And I'm paraphrasing her words. And a lot of guys, they got kind of excited about that. And guys went around, the round table, and they got to me, you know, and me, I always got to say something. So they got to me and they said, Alpha, what you got on it? Why you think it seems like the men don't like women nowadays, and why it seems like men have just stopped dealing with women, and what can you foresee coming down the road? And I said that's simple. I said this is really easy to explain. I say, but it becomes hard when you don't know history. And everybody was like, what do you mean? I say, see, what y'all don't realize, and this is kind of when I was developing my theory of my book. I told them, I said, y'all need to understand something. There is no rules and regulations. There is no rules and regulation in dating. And everybody said, I never heard someone say that before, but and one of the ladies who didn't ask the question said, that sounds kind of right. You know what? That is kind of right. There is no rules and regulations. I said, there is none. I said, that's the first problem. I said, there is no rules and regulations. And I said, now, there was a time in this country where we did have rules and regulations. Everybody got quiet. And they were like, what? I said, and it shocked me that they didn't know this. There's a lot of people out there that don't know this history of America. See, when they talk about the sexual revolution, they just talk about abortion, birth control, and hippies having sex at Woodstock. That's it. But they never tell you why they had the sexual revolution. And when they do, they paint it as a very narrow point. They say women were what? 1950s women who were stuck in their house taking Prozac or whatever drugs to drug themselves up because they hated their husbands and they couldn't do nothing. That's the narrative. And we know that narrative has simply been proven false. Most of the women in the 1950s had jobs. They had jobs in the home, they had jobs out of the home. Most of those women were not boozed up all day, drinked up all day, hopped up on Valium and all that stuff. Do you know now women are on more psychological drugs now than they was before the sexual revolution? Look that up. Do you know now women they have record numbers of women being alcoholics now, literally having to go to AA groups and NA groups and all these things than what they had before the sexual revolution. We have more epidemics of women committing crimes now, specifically related to drug and alcohol use. This is, I don't even, do I even need to explain this? So when I told them, I said, this is the problem, and that history is now being hidden. It's hidden. It's not lost. They are purposely keeping that history out of conversations. And one lady said, you know what, Alpha, I think you're right. I said, that's why we're having these problems now. That's why men have stopped approaching women, and there's a solution to fix it. I told them that. I said, because before the sexual revolution, what did we do? We didn't do dating, we did courting. What is courting? Courting is when both parents are involved in the dating and mating process. From day one, I always use this example. Jack and Jill. Jack and Jill. Jack likes Jill. Jill meets Jack. They like each other. They both go tell their parents. When they tell their parents, that's now the courting process has begun. Jack would go over to Jill's house. Jill parents would look at Jack and them interact with one another. They might have a meal together, have a dinner together, and then they might let them go outside and be by themselves. But somebody would still be looking through the window, and they would swing on the little bench outside. Then Jill would go over to Jack's house, and the same process would happen. Notice what I said was not happening. No, Jack ain't getting no nookie. Jack ain't getting a blowjob. Jill ain't getting finger banged. She's not getting the kitty eat out. You know what I'm saying? None of that's going on. There is no sex. Why? Because Jill was a virgin. And Jack may or may not have been a virgin, but Jill was absolutely a virgin. When I told people about that, they were just, Alpha, you are. They were like, man, are you? And they were challenging me on it as always. And I told them, you don't even need to challenge me. Just look up one phrase: shotgun weddings. Guy looked it up on a pound. He's like, this man's telling the truth. I said, I know I'm telling the truth. They don't want y'all to know about this. I said, now look at the courting process versus the dating process. Dating is what? Whatever goes. Hey, what's up, shawty? Let's hook up. Okay. We might fuck on the first day we meet each other. Maybe 30 days down the road. There's nothing organized. There's no rules and regulations. So when I told them all that history, I said, now you'll understand why men are not approaching women. Because they went through something that they just cannot deny anymore. Everybody's like, damn, Alpha, you know what? Go ahead, man. Continue. I said, well, number one, the men have stopped approaching women, right? Because they don't like the rejections. Everybody just got quiet. I said, yeah, unfortunately, and let me tell y'all something right now. Those who listen to me, I would probably, if I could, I would love to get the Guinness Book of World Record, okay? I have been rejected to this date now. When I started writing it down, I think I've been rejected at least 500 times by women. I can promise you that. Right now, I have a running ledger. And right now in Southern California, I have been rejected 63 times by women. Regular, normal women on the streets, in grocery stores, in the mall, and in nightclubs. I have been rejected everywhere. Okay, and I'm not ashamed to say it. Now, some men might say, man, you thirsty or you simping. I'm not getting rejected and not having sex with prostitutes. I'll be honest with y'all, I do that. If I'm not getting played from a regular slut, like a regular woman, I go see me a sex worker, have my biological fun, then I go back to talking to regular women, shooting my shot. That's called the hybrid model. I'm gonna do a long video on that. That's called the hybrid model, where you still see sex workers just for sex, but you also still spit game at regular women. That's what I support right there. And that's what I do. So that way, when I get rejected 60 something times, or 100 times, or 50 times, or 10 times, it doesn't bother me because I know that the rejection is a part of the process. It's like baseball. If you strike out 10 times in a row, what is your batting coach going to do? He goes, hey, look, man, we need to send you in the practice booth. You need to go work on your swing. That's what I use sex workers for. Just to keep my confidence up and to keep the biological process down. That's all. And then I go right back to the plate and get rejected another 10 times. And I know it's just a matter of numbers, so I'm not even tripping on it. I think one time I went up to like 35 and I met a girl. This time I'm up to 63 and I'm not sweating it because Southern California dating is a little bit harder. There's a lot of superficial bullshit going on out here. And once I understood that, I was like, okay, I get it. It's going to be a little bit harder out here because you got a lot of actors and people trying to break into the industry and all that stuff. So there's a lot of flakiness going on out here. But I'll give y'all the update when I meet a woman organically. It might take 150. It might take 200. I don't know, but I'm not going like an incel. I'm not talking to 63 women and having nothing, you know? No, I'm not doing that. But I told them, I said, that's the number one reason why men ain't approaching is because they tired of getting rejected. And we got women doing what's called nuclear rejections, meaning they're taking a simple interaction of a man approaching her, trying to have a relationship, just get a date, and they're taking that and they're blowing it out of proportions. Some women are using that as a way to get money out of corporations. Yeah, now I agree. Men should not be trying to approach women at work. And we have women complaining about that. And I'm like, well, why would you think men would keep approaching women at work when you're going to take that interaction and use it to sue the company and get this man fired from his job? Of course, men would say, I'm going to stop doing that. And that's what men are doing. They are following what? The Mike Pence rule. Look that up. Or the Billy Graham rule. Look those two rules up. So I said that's the really the big overall reason why is because y'all have taken the whole dating and mating process of just simply approaching someone and you've made it a fucking spectacle. That's why men ain't approaching no more. So when everybody heard that, they were like, well, damn, Alpha, well, what do you think the solution is? Because I think you nailed it, is that a lot of men don't want to be humiliated. They don't want to be outed as some kind of creep. They don't want to lose their jobs. All right. And they just don't want to be disrespected by women who just want to make a spectacle out of approaching them. So they say, what do you think the solution is? I say, well, that's real simple. I say, number one, if you really want to stop all this, you might want to put in some rules and regulations. Everybody got quiet there. Nobody agreed with me on that one. See, like what have I told y'all? The solution is the problem. Regulation is the only thing that's really gonna stop this. That's why I call the channel E-Waste Dating Tips. All I'm doing is giving you tips to survive the unregulated system. That's all I'm doing. I'm just giving you tips. All right. There's still no guarantee because why? There's no rules and regulation. That's the purpose of unregulated dating and mating. Does everybody get that? So this is not a guarantee fix, but it might help. But once again, there's no one forcing women to do this. So I'll just tell you what I told them. I said, number one, stop complaining about men approaching them. We have too many women going online, TikTok girls, complaining about the men that do approach them. They go online, this man approached me, and what they're doing is a mating strategy. They're trying to inflate their value to the world. Meaning, like some women are going online saying, what? I can't believe this ugly man approached me. What got in his mind to make him think he can approach me? See what I'm saying? Making it sound like you're some type of fucking royalty. Yet you live in a one bedroom flat and you going on 30 foodie calls because you ain't got no money to feed yourself. That's the stupid shit we got going on. Look, I went to the club last weekend, right, in San Diego. Shout out to San Diego. I went to the Gas Lamp District. I got rejected by 13 women. I got accepted by one woman, and I rejected two other women. Right now, the one woman that I did get accepted by, I actually rejected her. So technically, I rejected, three women, right? But I got rejected by 12 women. So I talked to 15 women all in one night, right? Not a bad night in my opinion. But the one woman that did accept me, I rejected her because she simply was just not my type. The main reason why I rejected her is she had multiple nose rings. She had a ring in each part of her nose, and I'm just not attracted to that. To be honest with you, I'm afraid to even touch a woman with nose rings because I think I don't know. I'm thinking that if I try to kiss her or touch her face, I might accidentally pull on it the wrong way. I don't know. I just don't like nose rings, and that's a big thing with Gen Z women, and that's a big turnoff for me. I don't like nose rings. But when she did approach me, she shot her shot, and I didn't do a nuclear reaction. I was actually flattered by it, and I told her thank you, and I told her I'll come around and talk to her. I'm still kind of waiting on somebody. I gave her some bullshit, and that was it. And I never seen her after that. I never seen her in the club after that. Obviously she got rejected. She was with her gay friend. She was dancing with her gay friend, and I'm sure he went and comforted her up and all that good stuff. But I didn't make it no more than that. I'm not here telling y'all, oh, this girl with nose rings had the audacity to come up to me and ask me who she thinks she is. She talking to a real player. That's dumb. That's fucking stupid. Everybody on this planet is going to find somebody that they're not attracted to. That's universal code. Guess what? Everybody on this planet is going to get rejected by someone who's not attracted to you. As much as you're going to say, I don't like women who have nose ring, somebody going to look at me and say, I don't like men who's 6'6". That happened 13 times. I don't like black men. I don't like men with haircuts. I don't like men who don't have dreads. I don't have dreads, you know. I don't like men who was in the military. The point I'm making is that rejection is the universal thing on this planet. Why? Why does that happen? It's going to happen when you have what? No rules and regulations. That is a universal truth when you have no rules and regulations. Rejection will occur less when you have rules and regulations. Why? Because you're doing arranged marriages. They still reject in those regulated societies. They do it, but it's not as frequent and it's not as often, and it's very cordial and respectful. If you think I'm lying, go to certain Asian countries. Certain Asian countries, when you approach a woman, and if the woman is truly not interested in you, guess what she would do? She would say, I'm so thank you. I'm so thankful, kind sir, for you choosing me, but I respectfully gonna have to decline. She'll say something like that. Because in Asian country, what's big over there? Honor. If a woman do some nuclear shit over there, that will that man will go to her family. Your daughter dishonored me in public. How did she do that? I asked her for a hand in dating, and she just went all off saying crazy shit. And it's not that they would force her to be with him, but they would tell her, why are you disrespecting this man in public when he simply asks you for your hand in dating? All you have to do is respectfully decline. You get it? We don't have that over here. We got women doing all kinds of nuclear rejections over here. That's why them. So that's number one. Women have to stop. They have to stop complaining about the men who do approach them and stop making it more than what it is. You're not the center of the fucking universe. Neither am I. I got rejected and I rejected a woman. Period. That's all it needs to be. You don't need to make it more than what it is. I'm no valuable than the next man down the block. Period. We all gonna get accepted. We all gonna get rejected. It's just a matter of time. All right, so that's number one. Stop making the rejection more than what it is. These women are going online, creating these videos, trying to inflate their social media awareness and their egos, and that's why men are pulling back on it. Number two, ladies, I gotta say this. Y'all have got to make yourselves crystal fucking clear. What am I saying? We gotta look, this idea of playing hard to get or trying to see if he gonna figure it out. I'm here to tell y'all that shit is over. Those days are over, ladies. It's not going to happen anymore. If you don't make yourself crystal clear to a man that's Generation Y, that's what I am, and definitely Gen Z men, they ain't gonna fucking talk to your ass. You can forget it. You're gonna be sitting there holding, as they say, sitting there holding yourself by yourself, wondering what the hell happened. You have got to make it crystal clear. We got women still thinking that if they look a man in his face and stare for 3 seconds or more, that man is gonna get it. I had multiple women doing that to me in the nightclub when I went to San Diego. Multiple women did that. And some of the women I did find attractive. The women that I approached, when I seen them staring me in my eyes, they still rejected me. I started laughing like, what the fuck is going on here? All right? And that's not the first time that's happened to me, but that confirmed what I already knew, that staring at a person is not enough, ladies. I don't know, at this point in my life, I have no idea why women stare at me. I have women staring at me in grocery stores. I have women staring at me in nightclubs. I have women staring at me at gas stations. I'm not lying to you. I'm not going to sit up here and tell you that I think I'm ugly. I'm a very, very attractive man. I'm not going to lie to you. I know I look good. But there is always some woman out there that might look at me and say I'm ugly. I'm not oblivious to that truth. But at this point in my life, as a 40 something year old man, I have no idea why people stare at me. I don't know if they're staring at me because they profiling me. I don't know if they're staring at me because they never seen someone like me before. I know they seen black people, okay? I don't know. I live in the South. Down South, this is true. I will say this. Down South, one thing I like about Southern women, whether regardless of their color, if a Southern woman don't like you, she gonna let you know up front. I don't want nothing to do with you. She gonna be like, let's say you going through a coffee shop and you trying to holler. She gonna look. I don't like you. Let's go. This that you want to buy your stuff and let's go. That's the whole nuclear stuff. I will give them that. Right out here in L.A. They got this fake facade shit going on, and I've talked to people about that, and they say, yeah, you're right. You from the South. You are right. You guys do say that when y'all first come out here, and I don't know if they profiling me. I don't know if they like me. I have no idea. But the bottom line is this, ladies. I'm a Leo. Okay. And if I see it, I know everybody else see it. I'm telling y'all now, make it plain, make it clear. All right. And I've told y'all stories about women who have rejected me and then they've come back and told me, I didn't want you to leave. I actually wanted you to chase me. Those days are over. I ain't never chased a woman. I never will. The whole playing hard to get, I have never in my life ever since I was a young boy first trying to talk to women. I have never chased after any woman. If a woman rejects me or give me any negative uh, 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 response, I'm out of there. I'm gone. Shout out to the late great ARC. That was one of his things that he used to talk about, how he used to sit there and keep gaming a woman even though she rejected him initially. He would keep gaming a woman to see if he can get her to quote unquote, he called them undercover freaks, stuff like that. Manipulative time waste, he said that. And he said something like the wholesome pretender. He talked about that. And that's true. There's a lot of women who do pretend like good girls. I mean, that's what they all pretending like now. They're all sluts. But the bottom line is he was a boomer and I'm Generation Y. Generation Y men, ladies, millennial men, and definitely Gen Z, we don't do well with hard to get. I never have, I never will. All right. And this is before all this stuff started. This is long before all this why men stop approaching women. That this is long before this. This is just something that's about me. And I can't say this about our generation. So ladies, you're gonna have to make it plain. Look, the whole dropping the napkin and hoping he pick it up. Ma'am, you drop the napkin in front of me, I'm probably gonna step on that bitch and keep walking. I'm just like that. You gonna have to make it plain. And notice the girl that came up to me that night, she came up and made it plain. She came up to me, touched me on my shoulder, and hey, and that was her telling me I like you. Physical contact. Now, I'm not saying you have to do that because that might be a situation where you might be putting yourself in harm's way. I'll give you that, ladies. But here's what you can do, women. If you see a man that you like and you want this man to approach you, you need to look his way, keep staring at him. You need to smile, right? You need to smile. You need to either move your eyebrows up and down. You know the looks I'm talking about. Do something to make yourself look sexy. Smile, and then you need to gesture to him with your hands, come over. You can do it with your lips. Come over here. You can do that. You don't even have to say it. You can just say it like you can just say it. He's not going to be to hear you, but you can literally say it with no words. Let's say you talk to a bunch of people and you see the guy you want. You can just stop and say, come here, come here, come over here. And if he don't get it, then ma'am, you good to go. You got a man that just simply isn't interested, or he too slow to fucking get it. Okay, I'll give you that. But I'm sorry, lady, the whole looking at, staring at a guy, I don't know why women think that shit work. It has never worked for me. And out here, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I've had several people walk with me. I had my homeboy Billy. He actually followed me for a day, and I said, I want you to see this shit. All right, what I'm dealing with out here, because he's from LA. And I was telling him about all this, and we just went out, and had a, we just had a bro day out, we just bros going out. We went and got some barbecue, I love barbecue and shit, and we just shooting the shit, talking about women and stuff. And we sit down, and Billy was like, "Man, that girl like you." And I said, "What you mean, man? That girl like you?" It'd be like the waitress or the hostess or that woman over there. He would say, "Man, that girl like you." I'm like, "How can you tell? She's staring at you." I said, "Man, that shit happens all the fucking time out here." And I have approached those women who stare at me, and they would say, "Get the fuck out of my face." No, no, thank you. I'm not interested. No, I got a boyfriend. And Billy was like, "You know what? You right." He was like, "I never thought about that." And that's it, ladies. Now, once again, my personality, and I think it's me, my personality, I'm a Leo. Leo men are very outgoing. We love to take the lead. But I'm going to be honest with y'all, I have considered pulling back because of this situation. All right. I have never seen this in my life where women will stare at me out here. And then when I approach them, they still reject me. And then I heard about something, and this is very, very important. I heard about something called the rejection game. And this is something you men need to pay attention to. And ladies gonna smile because I'm giving up the tea, as they say. There is something that modern women have adopted that's very toxic, that's causing why men are not approaching. And it's this idea that if they can get an attractive man to come over and approach them, it makes them feel very valuable than what they are, and they will reject him just so they can say they got to reject a hot man. I do believe that has happened to me multiple times. I do believe that. And it's fucked up because it doesn't hurt my feelings that you reject me, but it does cause this situation to happen where the man you think is hot, right, is not going to approach you because he doesn't understand, or he's not investigating stuff the way I am, and he just goes with the what? The defensive measure. Well, I'm not going to approach women. So, ladies, you got to make it plain. You got to make it clear. And for God's sakes, don't ask a man to approach you just to reject him. That's ridiculous. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. And it's causing your sisters to have problems. I've heard multiple women saying, "Ladies, y'all got to stop doing the rejection game." That's what they call it. Y'all got to stop doing this shit because it's causing more and more men, hot men or average men. Remember, every man is hot to some girl. Every man is average to some girl. That's just the way it goes. I might be hot to some women, average to the other. It's making all men do what? Take a defensive position. I'm not there yet. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not there. I'm not at the point where I'm willing to say I'm not gonna approach women because it's my personality. It is what it is. I'm a dominant personality. I like to take the lead. It doesn't bother me. I understand. But there's a lot of men who got switch personalities and sub personalities, and they are definitely pulling back. Ladies, make it plain, make it clear, and mean it. That's the second solution. Make it plain, make it clear, and mean it. All right. And then the third option, which I think is hopium, meaning we're going to hope women do this. I would hope women do this, but I'm not expecting them to do it. And what is that? You approach men. Okay, I told y'all the woman in the club, and let me say this about her, she wasn't ugly. She was not an ugly woman. All right, and her body was nice. She had a 10 body. She could have been a model for all I know. That girl may have been a model. I would have never known. But her face, she really messed up her appearance with the nose rings. And she had nice long hair. It was real. And she was young. She was at least, y'all know me, I only date women 18 to 25. I would estimate her age was either 20 or 21. And she approached me, and she was very attractive as far as the body and her skin color and all that stuff and her hair. But those nose rings, it's just what they call it. What do women call it? An ick. Okay, I call it the heebie-jeebies. I just get the heebie-jeebies. I get goosebumps when I see nose rings. I'm dead serious. When I see a woman with nose rings and big earrings hanging off her head, I don't know. It's not like I want to do it. I don't think about harming any woman. But when I look at it, I think, my God, if I hug this woman the wrong way, I might accidentally hug and her ring might get caught on my chest or my jacket. And definitely in bed, I'm thinking, shit, if we get in bed, and let's say I try to smack her in the face with my dick, you know what I'm saying? I might end up accidentally catching up on one of those rings some kind of way. I'm just not attracted. And also, nose rings to me, they look like boogers. I'm sorry. When I see a woman with nose rings, I can't stop staring at her nose. I'm like, ugh, it looks like you need to clean your nose. I'm just not into that shit. Some men can get past it. I cannot. That's my heebie jeebies. That's my male heebie jeebie. And what do they say? When men have biological responses to women, that's our defensive mechanism. It is what I can't fight. I'm like, ugh. Now, don't get me wrong. Any man under any kind of influences, and I was sober. I always go sober to the nightclub, and I tell men to do that. Never go to a nightclub and get drunk. Don't ever do that. Go to the nightclub sober. If you take one drink just to kind of ease you off a little bit, that's fine. But don't ever get drunk. Don't ever get pissy drunk or falling out drunk or yelling at the moon drunk or fighting. The only time I got really drunk at a club was a script club. I went to a script club for my 21st birthday with my homeboy in the military, and we wasn't trying to talk to girl. We were just in there getting drunk, bullshitting, talking about boot camp and airborne school. And I got drunk and I threw up on his car. This is in Fort Bragg. Shout out to Fort Bragg. I threw up on his car, and he was mad as hell the next morning. I had to wash his hood of his car. He had a Firebird. He had a big screaming chicken on the front of that car, and I was so drunk. And since that point, I never really got drunk like that ever again, because I've been drinking since I was 10 years old from New Orleans, and everybody drinks down there. We drink as a custom with our meals, so it's not a big thing for me. But I tell men, go to the club sober. All right. But essentially, when I see women and they're not trying to approach men, okay, you're gonna have to start doing it, ladies. You're going to have to start approaching men. All right, there are too many women out there that have they have pretty much abused the process in dating and mating. Why? Because we got no rules and regulations. So you're gonna have to start approaching the men. You're gonna have to start saying, "Hey, look, you don't have to say nothing slick or nothing smooth. If you walk up to a man and just touch him on his shoulder and say, "Hey, how you doing?" or "Hey, what's your name?" That's enough right there. Most men gonna get it. Like, I got that instantly. I knew that girl liked me. It was no doubts about it. I had no denial of it. See, men, we don't think the way y'all think, and y'all don't think the way we think. Since men don't get approached as much as we should be, when a woman does approach us, we know that woman wants us. Why? Because we know y'all biologically are hardwired to, quote unquote, not approach. Y'all just don't want to approach. But I do know this: when y'all really want a man, y'all will do it. And that's the point, ladies. When you really want that man, you need to go approach him. See, if you're not really feeling that man, you're just saying, he's all right. I would say, no, don't do it, because you're not going to give the man a genuine desire anyway. So just leave it alone. But if you see a man that you want, ladies, you're going to have to get off your high horse. Stop thinking you overvalue. Stop thinking, I don't want to give this man anything more. See, that's that whole power thing we got going on. Break down, get off your high horse, go talk to him, shoot your shot. If you get rejected, so be it. If you don't, but you're never gonna know what you got a greater chance, because studies have shown what men are very receptive to women who approach them. All right, but that doesn't mean you still not gonna get accepted, because, like I said, I rejected a girl who approached me, but I didn't do a nuclear rejection. I didn't ridicule her. I didn't embarrass her. I didn't say no man would want her because I'm rejected. I just said, no, I'll talk to you later on, and I never seen her again. That was it. Maybe I don't know. It is what it is. All right. So that's basically the three solutions to this problem. Stop complaining about men approaching you. Stop blowing it up. Stop making it more than what it is. You're not that fucking important. It's an approach. Just say no and move the fuck on. Leave it no more than that. Number two, make it crystal clear. A lot of women just, this whole idea of playing hard to get, or creating a mystery zone, shout out the whole man, or some type of puzzle for men to figure out. Men ain't doing that shit no more. They don't have time for that shit. That shit leads to bad outcomes for men. You need to make it fucking plain. All right? If you're just so terrified to approach a man, then make it crystal fucking clear that you want him to approach him. We know when you absolutely want us to approach us. Staring at a man's eyes, that don't work. Because at this point in my life, I'm going to be honest with you, I have no idea what the fuck that means. I've heard people say, I've heard women say, if I'm staring at you, that means I want you. When I went over to approach women who was staring at me and they still rejected me. All right. They still had the mindset that they didn't want me to approach them. And it's not like I came over and said something dumb. I just walk over and say, hey, what's up? What's your name? All right. Or I just say, hey, I seen you staring at me. What's going on? What's your name? I would always say something like that. That's it. Nothing slick, nothing jive, just simple open. Hey, how you doing? What's up? What's your name? Just like that. And they would always say, I wasn't staring at you. I don't want you. I didn't want you to come over and talk with you. You were wrong. I'm like, well, goddamn. I would laugh like, all right, whatever, man. And I just keep it moving. So make it plain, make it clear. And last but not least, ladies, I know this is a hopium, but it's time for you to start approaching. I know you approach men. Like I said, I had one approach me. I know if you got a man that you really, really want, y'all will absolutely jump through crowds, high hills, heavens, it don't matter. And you are going to get that man's attention. You are going to approach him. Y'all need to start doing that, ladies. All right? Because the men are pretty content with not approaching you. Once again, I'm not going to lie and say that men do what I do. I'm not going to sit up here and cap on that. I'm a very outgoing man. I'm not an introvert. So I'm not going to sit up here and say the men will finally. No, this is a serious, serious problem. And in order for y'all to combat this, you're going to have to approach the men. That's just the way it is, ladies. All right. Now, this is some sidebar stuff that's not solution. But I will say this, it needs to be mentioned. Ladies, the days of men approaching you at work or even dating you at work, those days are over. I've heard a lot of women talking about, well, I want the man to approach me at my job. Ma'am, that's not gonna happen. That's cap. All right, like I said before, no man's gonna be jeopardizing his livelihood for you. And that goes for gyms, that goes for Dungeons and Dragons club meetings, little social gatherings. Men ain't doing that no more. They're not going to compromise their well being and their wellness for you. All right. So if you want to, quote unquote, talk to the man, don't try to do it in those personal places. I don't recommend that, ladies. That might piss the man off. I wouldn't do it. All right. If you see a guy that's in a grocery store, that's a great place to approach a man or let a man approach you. If you see a man coming into a restaurant and you're eating at the same restaurant, that's a good place to approach a man. But social groups and places where you're always going to see this person, I would say no, that's not good. I wouldn't do it because men have now treat all those places like a job. Meaning they don't want to lose their Pokemon clubs, they don't want to lose their Dungeons and Dragons, they don't want to lose their run clubs and all that stuff. Just don't do it. All right. It's best to meet men in random places, Walmart, grocery store, out on the street, hell, in traffic. I've had girls give me their phone numbers in traffic. That shit does work. Okay, I'm just giving y'all a few little tips, pointers, ladies. All right. And last but not least, I talked about it earlier, but this is really, really, really it. Once again, we have no rules and regulations. We don't have rules and regulations. And it doesn't look like y'all motivated to put something in. So why does this matter? Please, ladies, stop playing hard to get. I talked about that earlier, but stop playing hard to get. That's not going to work no more. All right. Hard to get is going to get you hard to alone. All right. You're going to be hard to be alone. That's it. That's all it's going to get you. All right. The men, I'm going to tell you, now, a lot of women might say, Alpha, this isn't going to work. Men are going to give up because men love sex and they're going to give in. No, they're not, ladies. The men are going to do a few of these things so they don't have to give in. I'm just going to tell you the truth. Some of these things I agree with, some of them don't. Let me list them. Number one, they're going to go either tricking. I mean, they're going to go buy sex from a prostitute. It is what it is. So since they have readily available prostitution, most guys are going to say, screw it. Why do I need to approach women? I can just go get sex from a sex worker. A lot of men are doing that. Number two, they're going to get a passport. We already know about that. That's going on. A lot of men over here don't like what's going on in an unregulated system. They getting the passport and they getting out of here. Number three, and this is the one I don't agree with. I don't agree with. I don't agree with. I want to make it very, very clear. But they gonna do what's called be a vocel. They gonna do what you're doing. When you say I'm celibate, they gonna say I'm celibate. They're gonna sit at home, play video games, and that's that. I don't agree with that, but the men are gonna do it. A lot of men are going that route, and I don't like it. I don't, but they are doing it. All right. So they're gonna do one of those three things. Either they're gonna go see a sex worker, they either gonna get their passport and get out of America, or they're gonna stay here and do what? Be a vocel. That's pretty much what they're doing. So if women are thinking all of a sudden this is going to stop, this dating and mating stalemate is going to stop, men are going to start rushing to approach women again, that's not going to happen. I tell you that right now. That's not going to happen. So I told these people all of that on this panel. Right, and this seems to be like a long video, but that's okay. I told them those things on the panel. Everybody got quiet. Obviously, some people disagree with me. Some people agree with me, but essentially, the lady was like, well, Alpha, what do you foresee? Do you foresee any of those things happening with modern women? Do you foresee modern women to stop abusing the approach process? Modern women to start making things clear? Modern women to start approaching men? Do you think women are going to do any of that stuff? Just be honest with me. And I told her, hell no. I say, hell no. I don't think women are going to do any of these things. And she said, well, why did you tell us all this? Why did you say these are to fix it? Right? Why did you say that? It just seems like you just wasted your breath. I say, no, I have not. I have not wasted my breath. She said, why? Why is that? Because everybody was under the impression that she got me. She's like, because that was a good question. You just told us all these things. Now you're saying you don't think women are going to do any of these things. It seems like you wasted your time, wasted your breath. I said, no, I haven't wasted my time, and I've wasted no breath. And she said, how can that be? I said, because once men see that women are not going to change, then they're going to go to the real solution. And you're not going to like that one. And she said, damn, I would love to get a copy of your book. Because that's what happens. I said it to give men one last option before they go to the solution. That's it. Period. If you understand what I'm saying. It's almost like when you deal with a police officer in a traffic stop. What do? How you doing, ma'am? My name is Officer blah blah blah. Let me get your license and registration. At that point, all you got to do is what? Give them your license and registration. And by law, you got to do that. Person say, I don't want to give you that. Officer say, is it because you don't have it? No, I have it. I just don't want to give it to you. Why don't you want to give it to me? It's just a simple citation. Well, I don't want to get anything. I ain't do nothing wrong. Ma'am, I don't want to argue with you. I'm a police officer, blah, blah, blah. Just give me your license and registration. We could be on your way. I'm not saying you're guilty. Just give it to me. Maybe I'll just give you a warning. Well, I don't want that either because I didn't do nothing wrong. You see what I'm saying? That's the entitlement. Well, ma'am, I'm saying you did something wrong, and now you're doing something more wrong. You're not giving me your information, which means you're escalating the situation. See what I'm saying? Now the person is escalating this. Now the cop got to do what? Now instead of them dealing with the traffic violation, now they got to deal with what? Obstructing justice. That's obstruction. When a police officer asks you for your information, by law, you have to give it to them. If you don't do it, you are now committing a crime called obstructing. You're obstructing them from carrying out their duties. In some states, it's a felony. In some states, it's a misdemeanor. It's a wobbler. It's a wobbler. So now the person don't do it. The police officer say, okay, since you don't want to comply and you don't want to give me your information, right? I'm now going to have to arrest you for obstruction of justice. Not the speeding ticket that I pulled you over for because you don't want to comply. You are what? Disregarding my authority. That's all that he's doing. You're disregarding the police officer authority. And then the police officer say, what? Now I want you to get out the car. See how it keeps going up? He stopped you. He just wanted to give you a citation or a warning. You didn't want to give him information. Now he's got to arrest you. Now he's telling you what? Get out the car. I need you to get out the car. I'm not getting out the car. If you don't get out the car, I'm going to pull you out of the car. You going to pull me out of the car? Absolutely. See how it keeps going up? Then he pulls her out of the car. He busts the window and pull her out of the car. Glasses all over her face, everywhere. I can't believe you did this. I can't believe you did this. I can't believe you did all this to me. Why did you do this to me? Because it started back with day one when you didn't want to do what? Let me do my job. You didn't think I had the authority to do it. Now you in this position. Ladies, I listed those solutions to let men know that when they make those decisions to fix this problem, meaning bring in regulation, they don't need to hear anyone question their authority.